after truth, knowledge, God's creation, the true knowledge. Aristotle, God bless his pagan soul, was doubtless a brilliant man, far ahead of his time, a product of the countless years of Greek innovation, all of their skill, the accumulation of all of that knowledge in one man, and yet he still said that we had to rely on our senses, and that the connection that we had to that prime mover, that originator of all things, is our contemplation of what we have sensed. That's our connection to God. God gave us this reason. He gave us this ability to think logically so that we may be closer with him. And now I ask that all of you use that ability. I'm going to start with Aristotle's arguments for why the earth does not move. And I ask that you all listen very closely. Aristotle, as brilliant as he was, relied mostly on metaphysical speculation, assumptions, if you will. Assumptions that he had to take for granted in order to make up these reasons why the heavens move. Now, I'm not going to ask that you make any other metaphysical assumptions. I'm just going to ask that you rely on your reason and on what you've seen with your own eyes. Aristotle says his first argument is violent motion. The forced motion is not an act, a natural act. Forced motion will always die out. But as has been demonstrated by Galileo's reinterpretation of the spyglass into the telescope, that there are in fact stars beyond the stars. There are these great, magnificent heavenly bodies that lie even beyond those that we can see with our naked eye. Thus, the distance to them is just mind-boggling. They could even be twice the distance from Earth to that star. It's just been pushed back. It's thrown doubt and confusion. And I just ask that everyone just think rationally. Yes, forced motion, Aristotle says, will always die out. But if this distance is so great, then it's also possible that the force exerted on these heavenly bodies by whatever it is that's causing this force could also be of such an incredible magnitude that we're not able to perceive it in what limited time God has given us to inhabit this great earth. This wonderful planet that he's allotted us, and what short time we have here. It's possible that maybe perhaps force motion does die out, but from what limited perception we have, it's not possible to observe such motion, just as it wasn't possible for us to observe the stars with our naked eye. Again, I think we're underestimating the magnitude of the forces and the distances at work here. Before we were limited, now we are less limited. We have advanced with invention and science, and all by the way of God, so that we may be closer to him. Next, Aristotle argues for the two motions, the parallax, if you will. And again, the distance here is key. The stars, so far away from all of us, so far away from us, so far away from our Earth, that such incalculable distances away, is just stunning to think that with what limited advancements that we have had, that we can actually, with the small revolutions that the Earth would make around the sun, that we could see at such great distances any change in the positions. The distances here, again, are being underestimated. This is new information to us, and we have to take it as such and just realize that we cannot see that far. with our limited revolution around the sun. Also, an example, you can't see. If one stands in Athens, can he see Alexandria with his naked eye? No. But it doesn't mean that Alexandria is not there. If one stands in Alexandria, can one see India? No, it doesn't mean that it's not there. Alexander went there. He conquered those things, as we must conquer this new information. Aristotle also argues for the vertical fall, that all things of the earth fall to the earth. This is the things, the earth rotating. The reason why we don't see the clouds flying by or birds just being swooped off the edges of the planet are because these things are all part of the planet. They're not part of the heavens, they're part of the earth. They move with it. All right? We are born of it, we move with it, we move around with it. He also argues that there are no receding stars. When you're traveling on a flat plane, that the stars never recede. Again, this is because of the magnitude of the forces at work here. The great and incredible distances between the earth and the sun.
Who's arguing what? This is Aristotle argues?
Aristotle argues that when you're traveling on a flat plane, stars never recede, regardless of how far of a distance that you go. And the reason that you can't observe any of this is because of the great distances that are finding that we know are actually at work now.
That's Galileo's response?
This is a logical response.
Okay.
And these extreme distances, of course, will throw off what observations we're able to make based on the small size of the Earth in comparison to the great distances that are at play in the universe around us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question as well. Please go.
I have two questions, actually. I take it that scientifically you feel that Aristotle's model has serious flaws in it. Yes. Okay. Secondly, you do state, however, that this new knowledge that Galileo has produced and the flaws that he has pointed out in Aristotle's system have caused doubt and confusion. I think that was a quote. Didn't you say that these revelations have caused doubt and confusion?
Any new information that has the potential to change the way that people think will likely cause doubt and confusion among those that are trying to interpret this new data. That's why we have to think rationally. We have to use our reason to find out the truth.
But this did cause doubt and confusion. This particular information caused doubt and confusion.
All information that apparently would seem to have the potential to produce change will do such a thing, yes.
I think the answer to my question is yes, then.
But I think one of the reasons why